Good morning, everyone. I'm a little later than normal this morning with my video because it was cold this morning. It said 40 degrees. I've been sitting in my tent with my heater on, staying warm. I thought I'd better go ahead and get out here. So the sun's kind of behind me. I'll try to find a spot where I can talk where it won't be a problem. Well, I watched the attempted launch of the big starship. It had a technical issue and they scrubbed it, so we'll see what happens. It'll be another few days before they can try again. I like watching us try to use technology for good, but we're going to see technology for bad used here soon. Talking about AI. Now, I know computers and I know that we're not going to ever get to a point, let me see if I can get this up higher. We're not going to get to a point where these computers are really sentient. They may appear to be. You can program a computer to appear to be anything, depending on how big a program you want to write. We've got computers now that have pseudo AI capabilities right now. We've got these programs online, ChatGPT and others, and Musk is going to try to get into it as well with some of these other projects that he's working on. Again, I don't think they're going to ever get to the point of being sentient like we see in the Terminator, where they can fully think. Satan wants to tell us that we are no great achievement. I guess it was probably 50 years ago. They started doing some research on the brain, and they were thinking that the brain was a computer. They didn't know a whole lot about it. It might be a little longer than 50. They were treating it like a computer, and they were trying to figure out how they could get in and program it and work with it. But the problem is the human brain is not a computer. It is a neural net. And the difference being, a computer is, if I were to find a computer from 50 years ago, it would be the exact same computer today as it was 50 years ago. It doesn't change. But the mind, it can change on a regular basis. It adapts, it regrows new synapses. It doesn't stay the same. The brain of an adult is not going to be the same as the brain of a child. It will function basically the same. It still has the same input-output devices. I don't know if my spot over here is going to be any good in my chair. Well, I'm going to try. The wind is blowing, so let me go ahead and get seated and see if this will work. I might have to go to a table. Yeah, I don't know. We'll give it a shot. Okay, I'm seated. I went ahead and hooked up my microphone. We've been getting a little bit of wind gusts here. That's what's kind of made it stay cooler, apparently. It's, it's not, but it makes it feel like it is. All right. Computers themselves are not like our brain. There's a couple of conditions that they will never be able to duplicate in the current technology that they're using. As long as they're using silicon chips, they will never be neural nets. Now, I use chips in my development. They were called programmable gate arrays. You could burn a circuit into a chip, but all the possibilities were in there, and then you would eliminate the parts of it that you didn't want, and what you had left was the final circuit. But it's like a one-time thing. You can't keep changing. So our hardware technology of using silicon chips is not going to work until they can figure out a way to make them totally adaptable. Okay, that's one problem. The other problem is we're a creature of God. We have a soul. You can't have that in a digital communication device of some sort. Now, you can program it to look and act human. It's going to take a massive program, and we're getting to the point now where we can store massive programs inside of these chip devices. Just look at the quality of the games that are out now, where you can actually get the feeling that you're really immersed in that game, especially when you put on the visor and you got your surround VR visor on. So we can simulate a lot of this, but the idea that it can become sentient, I don't think so. It might be able to achieve the level of a mammal, of an animal, a dog or something like that, but we're not going to get human level AI out of it. Now it can have a big program and it can be really fooling in what it can do, but if it's doing something bad, it was programmed to do something bad. That's the scary part about it. The people that are running these things now are separate from common people. And the idea of all these rich people, that they're going to create a one world government and a one world religion and one world everything, have it centrally located. The harlot's going to get her way. She's going to create all this, set it up for the Antichrist, and he's going to take over. But the Antichrist is a creature created and controlled by Satan. That's totally different than AI. AI may be a tool, and you can program that tool to be smarter at making decisions than a straight dumb computer. They can do that, and they're doing it now. Just go to ChatGPT. I did a video on that, and they're coming up with 2 or 3 other versions of it, something similar. Musk is working on it. They're all doing stuff like that. And it can come up with some pretty human-like imitations, but it's not going to be thinking. Now, is it possible that maybe the devil could get in charge of it and modify it? Something like that might be possible, but I don't think that it's humanly possible to do. That doesn't mean it can't be destructive. That doesn't mean it can't know everything about what's going on in our lives and be programmed to react to it. And that's the key. It will be programmed to react. Computers a long time ago, if you think about the computers that went through the space program, they were extremely dumb. They were, if this happens, do this. If this happens, do this. That's all the memory we have, so you got 2 or 3 choices, that's it. They're powerful enough now that you can give them, 1,000 of choices for each scenario. Makes them appear to be intelligent, but they're following a program still. We can just give them more choices. We can give them more choices than a human could come up with. So they can be smarter than humans in decision making, quicker than humans in decision making, but they're still following a program. To be human, they would have to have a soul. And we don't understand that enough to even begin to create it. God created that, and it's well out of our pay grade. So without that, you will never have true artificial intelligence, a true thinking machine. Now, if somebody makes a program smart enough to make decisions and have thousands of decisions being processed, it doesn't mean that it's thinking. It's merely processing. There's a difference. Now, you can program a machine to do all kinds of things. They can replace people. And any place where there's decision making, you can replace people. When we fly to Mars, it's choreographed. We're going to do a certain thing to get it launched. We're going to do a certain thing to head in the right direction. We're going to do a certain thing to find the planet, come into orbit. It's choreographed. It's programmed. It's still not thinking. Computers, in general, the computer program hardware is dumb. And the programs can be as smart as the lines of code you want to write. We can write lines of code that will equal, living creatures today. We could write a program to create our own cockroach. The Fifth Element, they had a little robot-controlled cockroach that came up on the table with this little speakers listening to the conversation until he got squashed with the shoe, if you remember that. But it's all programming. The cockroach, if you can treat it as a little mechanical device, you can control it by having an adapter that would plug in to their little neural net. The cockroaches don't have a soul. They're just a living creature. A cow or a dog or any other mammal. We can include any other living creature, whether it's a snake or a lizard or whatever. All are basically smart machines. But they're not working with AI. Humans are the only one that have souls. We're the only ones that, because of our neural net, adapt and work with that soul. And that soul has a plug-in for God to plug into, so we can get helpful tips and information from God. You're not going to see that in AI. Again, I don't know what Satan can do, because this is his world that he's the Lord of. If he could get in and interfere with what AI is doing and make it do things that it's not programmed to do, that would be extremely frightening. But just, don't be afraid of AI. They're trying to make it look like it's going to be, Skylink. Again, because our computer technology has shrunk so much that we can put so much into this. You could write, a terabyte of code, and that's a lot of code, to handle just its behavioral functions. And then you write another terabyte over here to handle its world observation, and another one over here to how it's supposed to respond to things. You can break all this stuff up. You can simulate a neural net by having compartments for these different programs. But they're still programs. You're not going to get artificial intelligence working to our level. Animal level perhaps, but not our level. They're trying to basically replace God, Satan is, thinking that he can design something that will work better than what God created. We don't have to deal with an infinite number of options and possibilities in our life. God created our universe, and He knows what everything's going to be and what it's going to happen at any given time, anywhere in the universe. With that, you don't have to have a million possibilities at every instance in time. Often you may only have two decisions: follow God or not follow God. So our brains have been considered to be slow compared to what we can do technologically. And to a degree, they're right. Our brains use parallel processing as opposed to linear processing. Computers tend to use linear processing and thinking, parallel processing and evaluating the environment. But even if everything was parallel, still, it does not have a soul. Now, as with any technology, I mean, they were frightened of planes. They were frightened of every bit of technology. And through ignorance, they were not frightened when they should have been. You watch the old science fictions. This is radioactive. I wonder if we should be concerned. Of course you should be concerned. You shouldn't be that close. But they didn't know that. We're not on Mars right now because it's extremely radioactive. Radioactive from the point that we're getting cosmic rays coming in, and they would kill us. If you're exposed to it for a long enough period of time, it would kill you. So you're going to have to build an environment that does what the planet doesn't do: protect the life that's on the planet. We're going to need that water that's on the planet for two things. Obviously to survive and live, because we need water to live on, but you're going to use that water as an insulator. You're going to build things around where you're going to live, and you're going to fill them full of water to help trap some of the cosmic rays and hopefully get it down to a livable level. You can use the rock, you can tunnel into the ground and build caves and things, and that can operate it. But you're going to have to create a livable environment there. So it's not going to be just go there and hop out in your spacesuits and what's the movie, Rocket Man, and just hop around on the planet. You're not going to be able to do that. And the people that will do that will probably not do it very long. We're going to continue to use robots. They can handle it up to a point, better, far better than we can, because they're not built on DNA. And that's a lot of what happens. You get these particles bombarding through our bodies, and if it hits the DNA and it transmutes it into something that's destructive, then you can die. If you eliminate the immune system, you can die. Just going to the moon is dangerous for the same reason. Our moon bases may not be on top of the planet, on the surface. We may go to one of the deep craters and build a moon base. And there's a trench on Mars that is so deep that Everest would fit inside of it. So maybe at the bottom of the trench would be a good place to have a Mars base, not on the surface. And our investigation will still be via robots, because we still can't live on it. The only way to live on Mars permanently, the way we do on Earth, is to terraform it. We'd have to convert all that frozen water into water vapor up into an atmosphere. Mars had an atmosphere at one time. It had running water. We can see the results of it. Something flew by it, big planet or asteroid flew by it and stripped it off. It also doesn't have a solid core like we do that's producing heat. Our core is hot in the middle. We get heat radiating out, and we get heat from the sun. So we're getting a nice warm planet to live on. You move us a few million miles further away from the sun or closer to the sun, and this place would be a total different environment. It'd either be too hot or too cold. Now for Goldilocks, this is just right. All right, I'm back. I keep forgetting to check the memory on my phone. I don't delete files immediately. I probably got to come up with a policy of doing that. If I've got 2 or 3 videos working and they're not in the final stage and I haven't uploaded them, I want to make sure that I don't delete the pieces that go into these files, because then I have to re-record them. All right, so don't let them scare you. Sci-fi can be fun and entertaining and scary at times, but it's not reality. Make sure you disconnect from the fiction you're being taught. We're not going to have brain-dead zombies running around like on The Walking Dead. Human beings have a soul. The ranger's coming in to check the park. They're going to have to come up with a new policy. They've been letting people come in and stay past the curfew time. All right, I guess I have to end my video here shortly. I'm walking back to my camp. They're getting ready to mow the lawn around my campsite. There's some grass on the side of the road, and I'm next to the road. And I have my Starlink cable running through the grass. Now it's staked to the ground, but the guy doesn't want to run the risk of catching the cable, so I got to go pull it up. I don't have to have this video uploaded today. So what I'm going to go do is I'm just going to go move the antenna for a little while. I might try to put it somewhere on my site. I've been watching some really cool videos on how to use the Starlink. You can actually take the antenna and put it in a different box. There's a program or a 3D model for your 3D printers, and make a different box and put it on it and just mount it on the top of a RV or something. You don't have to have it on a stand like I've got. Now, I'm a little bit different because I'm not in an RV, but you can mount this on top of an RV and it works even when you're driving. You don't have to pay for this. The one they want to sell you to put on the top of an RV is like $2,900 or something like that. You don't have to do this. This kit is a little bit DIY, so you may not be able to do it, but you might find somebody who would do it for you. Anyhow, I got to go move the antenna because it's like, I'll show you, I'm coming up on it here in a little bit. I got to pull it into my camp so it's safe and won't get run over, and then I'll put it back as soon as he's mowed the lawn. He mows the lawn every couple of weeks. So I'll have to move it at least one more time in the next month as I come back to the same site. I'm going to hover around this site that I'm in now for probably through May with a couple of diversions because I have to get out of the park after 2 weeks. But this keeps me close to home, so when my son gets back, again, Lord willing, then we can have a place close to home to help him set up and do like I've been doing, going back and forth to my storage unit until I have what I need. Not what I want, but what I need. All right, let me wrap this up. Don't be afraid of anything coming. They're going to try to scare you with all this AI stuff. And they've got movies to help back them up, but don't worry about it. It's not going to be a problem. Okay, let me wrap this up. I'm going to turn it around and show you what my antenna setup is. Okay, my tent is on the other side of those trees. And if we look, this is the side of the road. And if we look in both directions, it's pretty clear out here near the road. That's why my antenna is right here. Now the antenna is safe, but I'm going to go ahead and move it anyway. But the cable is going into the grass. And it's really low, but to be safe and to not scare the guy mowing the lawn, I'll go ahead and pull it up. So I'll take it offline and move it. And then they shave all this down with their lawnmower. The deer really love it, and they'll come out here and eat this freshly cut greens for them. They do both sides. Any place there's grass, they mow it. It's a full-time job. By the time they get down to the end of the park, they got to turn around and go back up and do it again. Thank the people that maintain these parks. Blessings.